I'm excited to walk you through the Sherwood Hills Resort course. This is the clubhouse area where we're going to have lunch, refreshments in between rounds, um, some live disc golf going on on some flat screens. This is right outside the clubhouse. Nice area to relax again, eat lunch, do some putting practice. This is the event coming October 1st, the PureLine Championships. Um, Good looking patio, things like that. So head to hole one, 630 feet, par four, plays off to the right.
There, I'll use that drive.
The goal for this hole is to get your drive to
That's what
either
I'm talking
maybe go a little bit to the right or stay straight.
about. What was that?
It'll finish off to the left, or to the right, I mean. You'll want to get a flick shot into that window that Rodney just hit. So really anywhere off left, straight for the fairway will give you a look in. There are some trees guarding it, so you want to make sure that you leave yourself an open putt. Hole 2, par 3, 270 feet. Kind of a straight shot. You could go with a flick, which Rodney does. You could also go around the back of the tree. The basket's just behind that big tree that you see. Jace comes in with a skipping flick, puts him in the circle. You also could just go straight at it like that, and there's a little bit of a backstop with trees, but you don't want to get too deep. Could miss a putt with some trees in the way. It was a little bit blustery when we got there in the morning with the storm that had just come through. Hole 3 is a sweet hole, 530 feet, par 4. You've got a pretty much open drive, a little restricted by the tunnel at the front, but not really. You want to stay on the left. The hole plays behind the big clump of trees in front of you, which sit at about 450 feet. So if your drive finishes to the left, you've got a good sidearm shot or turnover to get to the basket. So my drive finished a little off left, gave me enough room to get around those trees with a flick. Jace had a good angle as well.
Perfect. Get in the pocket. Nice shot, Jay.
Rodney, however, was short and a little blocked. Tried to go through. There's a couple windows in there, but it's too tight. Safer to be on the left. Hole 4 is a par 3, 340 feet, slightly downhill, about 23 feet of lost grade, and most of it's at the end. Tricky part is to stay out of the woods and hang a shot straight that does finish left at the end. And hyzers down right under the basket, but not into the woods. There is no out of bounds on any of these holes. The trees end up knocking down enough discs that you just don't need any out of bounds lines. Rodney finished a little bit right. You can see the basket's kind of on that hill. If you get in early, it's going to be jail. Here's Jace trying to get out of jail. Hole 5 is a beauty, 623 feet, small decline. This is one that's pretty open and you can kind of just air out your drive. It finishes right. You want to get far enough down the fairway that you can get into an open spot, which shouldn't be difficult, about 300 feet, and you'll have a look into the basket. If you get down far enough to the left, you can throw pretty much any shot. If you hug tree line to the right, you're going to have to get in a big flick or turnover. Jace did get caught up a little bit in the trees, and it's just a hard shot to get. the gap is way out there in the dead grass to the right, about 100 feet past where Jace is. Rodney had the distance, but just hung it out a little bit too far left. My drive ended up about 420 or so. Left me with a pretty easy shot to flick into where the basket's at. There's a nice open area for your landing zone for the putt. If you do go deep or to the left, it's pretty much a stroke trying to putt out of those trees. Rodney made a great putt.
Hey, banging putt.
This is a fun shot through the trees, 240 feet, no elevation change. Par 3, you've got a couple different gaps to throw through. You can try a flick or a turnover through the gap Rodney just hit.
You gotta get around
There's a second tunnel. That sidearm shot there, if you get around and skip in, that actually ended up 6 feet from the pin. So the tee box is wide enough that you can take advantage of either gap. And we actually were fooling around and actually got some thumbers over the trees as well.
Get it.
Clutch 60-foot putt by Rodney. This is that second little tunnel that the flick shot or a turnover you'd need to get close enough. And my flick did skip. Pretty close. 330 feet, par 3, hole 7. There's about a 10-foot loss of elevation. This is a flick shot to the right. You've got to navigate the tunnel of trees and try not to come in early or late.
Right there. That's a great shot.
That was a perfect shot by Jace.
You're within 10 feet.
Probably plays closer to 290 with the gradient going down.
All right, you're just on a roll. I don't want to miss it. Magic.
Rodney banging putts.
Yeah.
Hole 8, par 3, 430. It's a 46-foot decline. We missed the drives on this, but it's another open downhill hole that you can just chuck on. We all got pretty close to the basket on our drives. So hole 9, 285 feet. It's slightly uphill, about 15 feet. Don't notice it too much. It's pretty easy hyzer as long as you don't come out into the trees early. If you kind of plays as an island because all of the brush around it, if you're not inside of the cut grass, it's going to be a hard putt. There's no out of bounds strokes on the course, but some of the greens do take strokes from you if you don't get them to land right. Not too hard of a gap to hit. We all were within about 10-15 feet. It's a fun little hole. Gorgeous backdrop. Hole 10's a riot. It's kind of fun finding this line. It's 365 feet, and it almost is a par 4. You've got to hit one of two gaps. Rodney found this turnover line and parked the hole pretty much. So that is there.
I didn't even see that line.
It's a perfect high turnover. This is the more traditional kind of higher tunnel. Anything that you hyzer, you want to finish left on this hole. There's even a thumber route over the top if you've got 365, 380-foot thumber. Jace's thumber hung out a little too wide. You can see you can come right into the basket. You've got to make around. There's the gap where that orange tree is that Rodney came through. You got to come around far enough that you can make that flick shot or up shot, or else you're going to be blocked. Hole 11, 327 feet, slightly uphill. This is a pretty straightforward shot that's really just going to have the elevation gauge as the only measure of difficulty. It's a wide open green, not too much to deal with. Just throw it 327 feet uphill. This course does provide some absolutely gorgeous views. Okay, hole 12's a fun little shot, 225 feet. You've got two options. One is to hit that little tunnel, and the basket is on a small hill, about 5-7 feet higher. It's if you throw through that tunnel, it's going to take most of the shots and leave them 40 feet short. You almost got to throw a thumber on this to get within the circle over those trees. Rodney's trying to flick shot, trying to take advantage of the glide of the hill, and just came up a bit short. So there you can see how the basket's tucked behind the hill, and where a lot of our drives were landing just right on the hill, not hitting the gap quite high enough. That's where my thumber landed. I had another one that was right by that tree, about 10 feet from the basket. Chase almost made this putt. Okay, this is the hole. We should almost institute a rule that everyone gets to throw like 6 discs on it, but 1,058 feet, par 5, but it's a par 4. This is I am convinced someone's going to be able to get a roller and get down there in one shot, but we'll see. Either way, it plays that your drive, if you hit the angle of release right, is going to go 500 to 600 feet. And that descent, the 80-foot drop, stays steady the whole time, so you can see if you put a disc out on an ante at the right line, it will just keep gliding and gliding and gliding. Really fun to throw shots from this tee. And the best part is your second shot's pretty much the same shot. So you've got to hit 500 or so foot downhill drives to get the eagle, which, believe it or not, was done twice during this round. Both Rodney and I got close enough for it.
In the bucket.
Here's Rodney's putt. This is a pretty difficult hill just because of the distance and the grade. 31 feet up. It's a 730 feet of carry. You can get it in 3, but it's a really good birdie if you do. Really what you want to do is set yourself up so that the basket is off to the left in the clump of trees at the end of the fairway. And there's a tight window. So you just want to make sure that you at least have an angle into the window, and if you do try to go for it on your second shot, don't leave it short because you'll lose a stroke. Here's about, 350, 380 feet left for Jace. And that gap is really tight. Definitely 2 full drives on this hole. Ronnie got a little bit closer. He probably put it 500 feet out on his drive. Still left a little
Nice
short.
three.
Could have got there.
I knew it was there.
Jason for his par. So I'm there in 2 shots. I just didn't have the enough hyzer on it to get into that pocket. There's Rodney for his birdie. This is another fun hole. 582 feet, slightly uphill. Most of that is on the approach shot, though. You just got to make it far enough or wide enough. If you can cut off right around those trees on the left, you can make this a pretty easy shot. But if you end up in those trees, you're going to take a stroke or 2. So we're all playing it out wide, and it leaves you with about a 220, 250 foot up shot. So they're slightly uphill. The basket's off and straight ahead of you in those trees. Jace leaves his shot just a little bit wide. Almost the birdie. There it is. This is a tricky little shot. 185 feet. It's uphill. There's a couple different angles, lines to take. That flick line's pretty dependable. The issue with this hole is behind the basket is it drops off significantly, and it's wooded, and you don't want to overthrow this hole. So there's going to be a lot of people held up short. There's also trees guarding it from the left. You can come in from the right the way Rodney does here with a skip shot. It's just kind of tight all the way around. Here's the guardian trees I got held up by. Able to bang the putt. Oh,
Basket robbed.
basket not being nice.
Second one was your fault.
Rodney's flick or riser shot came in nice. This is a pretty cool straight shot, 221 feet. There's really just one line to hit. The basket's straight ahead of you. The tee box is off enough that it takes away the hyzer route. If you can flick straight or throw straight, you just got to be able to do either to get within the circle. Those guardian trees on the left and right are pretty tough to do. Jace just parks it. Ooh, mine cut in a little bit early. Left me with not a good line. It's a frustrating hole to miss. It's so short and easy, you should get it, but there's just enough things in the way that's definitely threeable. Unless your name is Jace. A 315 feet, slightly downhill. This is a real tricky hole to gauge distance on. You've got a real tight line here. It pretty much plays
You got eyes on it?
hyzer or flip. You can, if you're a lefty,
Great
the tee
shot,
box be
Jace.
wide enough to hyzer around the other side of the trees. A flick could even work, but the window is the hyzer shot that we're all playing. It does slope downhill, and if you get off to the left and behind, you're maybe a stroke or two to get out of that thicket. Mine does end up down there, but not too far down the hill. Rodney's came out a little early and hyzered in. There's those guardian trees that you've got to get past if you're coming in from the flick shot. I'm way down the hill. Just got hung up by a leaf. Hole 19, 230 feet, slightly uphill. Pretty much a mandatory flick or turnover shot. It's positioned behind a tree, so you've got to come in from the left and sneak in behind it to have a wide open putt. Rodney's about 20 feet out. Jace is over on the cart path behind. Should have hit that putt. Hole 20, 255 feet, kind of plays, slightly uphill. It's a flick shot that you've got to put pretty big hook on. The tricky part is if you do end up right, there's the same stuff you can see to the left of the tee box. It's that. So it's also on a little bit of a side hill. So if you get into that, you're going to be quite uncomfortable and probably take a stroke just because you won't be able to putt out of there unless you're ripping. You got a nice turbo putt.
That'd be
But
flirting with the edge.
it's a pretty
That's a really
easy
good
shot
shot.
as long as you don't saw it off and get down into that muck there behind the basket.
Oh, I thought I had it.
There, Jace was almost in it. He's getting tickled.
That's a.
And the last hole, hole 21, it's wide open, 803 foot. You can just rip it. And it'll take two good shots to get your birdie. it's probably a little bit easier to be on the left side of the green, to come into the window. The basket's in a pocket of trees way down there on the left. So right near the side where the cart path begins is where the basket's tucked in. Jace comes up just a little bit short. That one's gonna get right in there. So there's your birdie on 800-foot hole, hole 18, or I guess 21. I mean, Ronnie was just a smidge short as well. So here's the trees that it's tucked in. As you can see, it's kind of a tight window.
You gotta
Jace
look
comes in
from
with that
there.
upshot around the back, and Rodney sneaks a big sky hyzer.
Nice
Falls
idea.
right
Good
inside,
shot.
about 15 feet from the circle. So there's my lucky in the door drive. I mean, all skill.
Oh, to get it again.
Jace wanted that putt. Well, there it is, the beautiful Sherwood Hills Championship course. It's going to be amazing if you like to throw and throw long and have some cool lines. Definitely want to come check it out. It's a unique experience, beautiful course. We're lucky to have it and have an event there. So we'll see you October 1st.